Welcome
Hello.
to Broomtalk, a Witchy Livestream. So let's go around and why don't we introduce ourselves since we may have some new watchers. So we'll start with Lady Keitha. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm glad that I'm here in person this time instead of just in the chat. My name is Lady Keitha, Reverend Emrys Megan. I founded the Sacred Well on Facebook and co-founded the Green Wild Mystical Academy with Mela, along with the Walking the Pagan Path classes and Midlands Pagan Collective. And I'm glad to see everybody.
Thanks for being here. All right, Krystal?
Well, I'm Krystal, and I am just here having fun. I am the founder of Design Life Studio and the creator of the Design Life Method. I'm a feng shui designer and clutter expert. I teach soul-driven entrepreneurs how to use feng shui the right way to create peace and prosperity in all areas of their lives.
So glad to have you back with us. Megan.
Hi, guys. My name is Megan, or some people call me Sunshine. I'm a tarot reader. I've been reading tarot for 16 years now, since I was 14. And I've recently started up the Sunlit Veil, which is my tarot and art gig. And I'm just getting my feet wet in the community and enjoying things as I go along.
Welcome, Robert.
Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Hernandez. Magical name is Emrys Moonstone. I am a jack of all trades, master of none. So I do a little bit of everything you could ever imagine in my path and in my craft. So I'm just really happy to be here to chat with you guys and share my my everyday life experiences.
Glad to have you here, Emrys. So, y'all, we're going to be talking about everyday witchcraft, and I'm Mela. This is the podcast for Bell Book and Candle, and if you are looking for Bell Book and Candle, here is where you can find it. I'll put it up a little later as well, but it has its own website. We've got some great things going on, and just before we get into the conversation, I want to remind you of some of the great guests that we have had for our everyday witchcraft theme this month. So today I put up a great interview with Honora. She's from the area where I live, Steph Honora, and she is a psychic medium who in her early 20s was a truck driver and had these paranormal experiences and all these crazy experiences as a truck driver all over the United States. So that went up today. We've also had the Good Witch of Hollywood, Patty Negri. So she's pretty well known. She's written a book. She was great to have on, just talking about everyday witchcraft tips and her life. And she talked about a seance that she did in some famous people's homes. And it was a really great interview as well. Saul Ravencraft talking about the Kabbalion. And we had someone talk about our soul's intuitive voice. Tam Vayu talking about everyday astrology. So there's been a lot of good interviews on the podcast all about just everyday witchcraft. And that is what we're going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and just get started. And y'all remember, please, please, please comment and ask us questions and interact with us. This is a fun thing. And so just, as we get started, I'm just going to ask a very basic question, then we'll get a little deeper. But at the top, off the top of your heads, what is something that comes to mind that you do for just incorporating your witchcraft into your everyday?
So for me, I teach online. So every day making up lesson plans and teaching people that I'm mentoring, and that is my whole life right now at this point. But just at a basic practice, I start every day with journaling, meditation, drinking my tea with intention, making charm bags for people that are telling me that they're having certain issues, and just spending time on my altar in general. I usually have deity candles going on my altar just as a way of honoring them and bringing them into my practice. But that is at the most basic what I do every day.
Okay. How about you, Krystal?
I sort of have some similar ritual practices. I've got self-care first thing in the morning. I do yoga for usually about 2 hours, actually, every morning, just to connect with my body and my spirit, all in sort of one session. And I spend all day too with clients, and my work is somewhat intuitive and very connective, I guess. So there's a lot of energetic connections that happen in my work, I guess is the best way to describe it. But I get intentional even with some of my other ritual practices. I drink a lot of water throughout the day. So every time I refill my cup, I will speak my gratitude into the water. And it's funny, I notice a difference in the flavor. Like if I forget and I take a quick sip, and then I'll do my gratitude. I'm like, oh, wow, it tastes different.
It tastes better?
It does. It tastes really sweet. So I've gotten very intentional about spending several minutes of every time I fill up my cup, just speaking gratitude into my water. And that's actually something that's relatively new for me that I've only been doing for about a month or so now.
Okay.
But it's amazing how much it's impacting my life. Just these little, like, I'm grateful for this. And then it's like, oh, like affirmations, almost like little magic spells. I'm grateful that this happened. Okay, well, let's wait for it to happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's something that, you don't need anything to start doing that type of spell work. Really, it is spell work. Words are spells. So anytime you are saying words, you are casting a spell. That's why we have to be careful about saying the negative stuff and casting curses onto ourselves and each other, because words are powerful. That's awesome. Emrys, what about you?
At my very basic every single day practice, the most important things for me personally are connection to the divine and protection for myself. So I actually try to start every single day, every morning, with a self-guided meditation. Sitting out in the meadow behind my house. And it's very simple, just a white light projection shield meditation kind of thing to get my barrier up and strengthen for the day. Put on my little jewelry that I wear all the time, 24/7, my little protector. And just enjoying nature at its rawness and just appreciating Mother Nature and Father Son and their connection with me. And as of recently, I have also been doing a tarot card of the day. So I shuffle, and whatever card comes out is, my card of the day. And it's so funny how whenever the same card applies for like 3 or 4 days in a row, the same card will jump out for me, the exact card. So that's been really, really fun for me as well.
That's another thing that anybody can incorporate, because most witches are going to have some type of divination tool. It doesn't have to be tarot. It could be oracle. It could be a rune. It could be bibliomancy, where you just open up any book nearby and use your finger and find a line and have it tell you something to go into the day. So that's definitely something that can be used every single day. Megan, what about you?
So I teach class, so there's that. That's always the dominating thing on Tuesday. I read tarot for myself twice a week into what I would call like extended readings, or like a standard reading. So I do a week ahead read and I do a weekend read to kind of get a feel for what's going on in my life, if I'm missing any blind spots, if spirit wants to connect with me. I make sure when I do my weekly readings that I'm not just asking about the future, but that I'm connecting to my spirit guides and that I'm connecting to spirit and openly and acceptingly asking, do you need to tell me anything? And it doesn't have to be about what my priorities are or I need to know something, but just what do you think I need to hear? Like what's going on? And that has been a game changer for me, because a lot of times they just want to tell me, hey, you're doing a good job, keep going. And that is so nurturing.
Yeah.
There are days when I don't do tarot, and that in and of itself is a very cognizant thing. One thing that I have trouble with is the anxiety of having to control my future. And part of the reason that I got into tarot was to be able to see the future to prevent it. So on days that I don't do tarot, it's very cognizant, and it's very much an act of release and an act of, I don't have to see everything. I don't have to know everything. I'm strong enough and I'm prepared enough to not. So I do sit with myself and kind of go through that mental routine. And on days when I don't do tarot, I make sure to make time for meditation at my table. Or I actually think of it in my head as table time, where I just sit at my table, I light my candles and I just have, my special moment to myself to kind of keep that relationship building with myself going.
That's great. That's really resilience building, what you were talking about with not pulling the cards and not seeing what's going to happen and getting insight. And that's building up your own resilience. So that's really great. For myself, I spend time, I have this one practice and I consider it witchy. It's more for my kind of empath side. But on most days that I can manage it, I get my cup of coffee and I sit and watch the news on YouTube and I cry. It always makes me cry. Even the good stuff makes me cry. But I feel like I start my day by getting out all that energy. And so it actually helps me have a much better day just to have that moment of, oh my God, the world sucks right now. And just bawl my eyes out, and then I'm good. I'm good to go. It's like I just get that energy out. So that's one thing I do. I spend a lot of time in here with my altar. I spend a lot of time reading and spending time with my animals. I feel like I'm so much a proponent of the everyday witchcraft thing because I feel like it's part of almost every single thing that I do. It's just my life. It's not a separate part of my life. So when I think through my entire day, even when I'm out with my animals, and if I'm touching my animals, I'm giving them healing. And when I'm gathering the eggs from the chickens, I'm, setting the intentions that these are something that's going to nourish my household. And when I put my jewelry on, I have special jewelry, special rings that I wear on certain fingers, and certain earrings that I might wear. Like these I usually wear if I'm having a mental health day. The red jasper is great for depression and anxiety and that sort of thing. So if I know that I'm struggling with any kind of mental health thing, that's my magical earrings for that. And I just have certain things like that. And it just comes naturally, I guess, because I've put it into practice as everyday part of my life. And I think that's really important because have y'all ever heard of like the Christians who just go to church on Easter and Christmas?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I see that in the pagan and witchy community too.
Yeah.
They're pagan, or they do their witchy practice on a full moon or on the high holidays. But I feel like it's much more meaningful to incorporate just a little bit into your everyday life. It's your spiritual path. It's not just a once a month thing.
Right. One of the things that I try to really teach when people, because one of the first questions I always get is, well, where do you start? Because there's so many different practices and paths and things you can incorporate in your day-to-day life that you can get really overwhelmed. So one of the first things I teach is, well, what habits do you already have? And how can you spin those to have a spiritual meaning behind them? Things like just taking a shower every day. You can change that to have the meaning of having a spiritually cleansing shower, doing things like, it sounds silly, but I mean, I do these things, enchanting your soap to have healing properties so that while you're washing yourself, you're also healing, and if you've already these habits built up, just adding a little spiritual spin on it, you're going to find that you're able to add more spiritual practices into your day without all the extra stress of, I've got to figure out how to make time for this.
That's a good point. So when you're thinking about your everyday life, I've kind of made a list of some aspects of most people's everyday life. Self-care. that's one thing. And you just mentioned even about the soap, and I've even seen, I think one of the guests who came on this month even mentioned, it might have been Patty Negri, about carving sigils onto the soap and using that, or even if you're using shampoo or liquid soap, squirting it out in the symbol and then washing with it. So that's self-care. So y'all think about self-care. What's something that you do as kind of an everyday, even if you don't do it every single day, but you do as kind of an everyday witchcraft thing that is just for your own personal self-care? What do you think, Krystal?
Well, I mean, I do yoga every single day. I have not missed a day in 5 years now.
Wow.
I also take what I call CEO time every day. I walk around outside and I cry. That's what, because I have to get it out too. It's you know, it's part of a healing ritual for me that literally is in my schedule. I have an alarm set on my phone so that I stop work every day at 12:30, and I take an hour and a half and for me, and I go outside and go through a whole process of releasing whatever energy and emotion that I have. And I go looking for it, like on purpose, as a healing ritual of, what do I need to work on today? What am I struggling with today? What is there? And so I make sure and incorporate that. And I find it works better for me if I do it outside in nature. But, like in the darker season of the year, I have to adjust because I don't do well in the cold. But, I make do and I figure it out. In the beginning, like you guys have both said, I sort of felt like being a witch was this separate thing that I had to do all these. And it was like that, it's like, oh, okay, well, here comes a holiday, here comes a full moon, or here comes a holiday. Like I have to show up now. And it took a long time for me to be like,
hat.
right, I got to put on my pointy little hat and go, and the shoes, and head out.
Right.
I got my broom. Is everybody ready? Come on, kids, here we go. But it felt phony. That's when I felt like I had imposter syndrome. Like I wasn't quite there yet. Like I wasn't quite witchy enough yet. Like there was something not good enough about what I already did, witchy enough to prove my witchiness.
Yeah, good point.
It took time for me to be like, yeah, I don't have time for all this. I'm growing a company. I got this and this and this, and I don't have time for this to be separate. It's just got to be a part of everyday things. And that's when it started becoming like, well, just everyday practices of, well, this is speaking into my water, or connecting with my body and being very intentional, taking time out of the middle of my day. I mean, I take an hour and a half for lunch every day. So because I get more work done on my lunch break than I do when I'm sitting at my desk typing emails. Like I move the needle in my business when I take that time. So I make sure that is part of every day for me. And that makes me feel in alignment with my spirituality and just every part of my life. Like I feel whole.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Emrys, you mentioned about going out into the meadow. So that's probably a part of your self-care. Is there anything else that you do every day that would be just for you, just to take care of you?
Yes, and it is very similar to the meadow, very similar. But I like to, after, towards the evening time, close to sunset, when it's kind of starting to get dusky, I like to get completely barefoot and just walk on my property, because I have a very large property, and just let my feet touch the earth. And as I'm walking, I am visualizing anything, kind of like Krystal, anything that's within me, anything negative, anything that I'm going through, any anger or depression or sadness. And I just let the earth just take that from me with each step as I go. And then I just do some deep breaths and let the air and the sunshine bring positivity in. And it just kind of brings me to a place of peace. because I personally battle mental health every single day of my life. So it really helps bring me to a peaceful, neutral, positive, happy place after I have, done that every single evening. So that is my self-care activity that I participate in.
I think there's so much to be said for earthing, I've heard it called. I do it as much as possible, even in the coldest of winters, which it's not that cold in South Carolina, I guess, but to me it is. But I'll go out there barefoot just to feel the earth and to get that grounding and to send things into there. So I definitely feel that. That's something that I do for my own self-care. Megan, what about you?
Well, I thought about this when Anne-Marie brought up showering. But, I identify as an empath, and before I kind of had my great return, I call it, I was in denial for a long time. I had a very high stress job, so I was repressing everything. Those that don't know, I worked 4 years in Child Protective Services, which is pretty much hell on earth for an empath. And I was in denial at the time. So I had all these things going on I wasn't really aware of. So now it is part of my daily practice. Anytime I touch water, I am a water baby. I am a Scorpio. Anytime I'm touching water, I try to just ground and center and wash away. So my showers have really sort of beefed up in importance. Anytime I wash my hands, I work with kids now, and I can't get frustrated with my kids. I work with autistic kids. So anytime I'm washing my hands, I'm just imagining all of that frustration, all of that impatience kind of draining down. And then practicing mindfulness, especially anytime I'm outside, anytime it's beautiful, anytime I'm driving, I try to pull myself away from my ego, pull myself away from my own agenda, and just try to be present, even if it's just for a few moments, and try to practice gratitude and be like, you know what? The world sucks, but I'm okay. The world sucks, but I'm here, and this is beautiful, and I have the sun, and I have all these beautiful things around me. I have all these people around me, and it helps me not get so caught up. And it helps me to be mindful that my emotions are important, but that my emotions are also kind of like weather, in that, I don't necessarily have to be out in the cold or out in the storm. The storm can still happen, and I can still maintain my peace. And so it's just very, very cognizantly watching the emotions go by, experiencing them, and then releasing them. The same way you let a storm roll over a hill, like just let it come and then let it go, instead of holding it on like armor. And that is something that I do. The other big thing that I thought of was, as an intuitive, as an empath, like a weird little talent I have is I kind of always know what to say, but I have to tune in a certain way, and I have to listen a certain way. And I've been doing that more and more and more as I move forward. I used to live a lifestyle where that sort of attunement was not safe. But now that it is, and now that my life has changed, really building up that skill of listening with different ears and seeing with different eyes and being truly present for people. And that strengthens me and that nurtures me. So I try to practice that as well.
That's amazing. Yeah, definitely. It really sounds like a lot of what we do for our everyday practice is based in this self-care, taking care of our mental health, even taking care of our physical health. Yoga is great for mind, body, and spirit, right, Krystal? So we're doing all these things. How many of you have pets? Everybody. Okay. What sort of witchy things do you do involving your pets?
Well, mine does yoga with me.
Oh!
Yeah, she will. We had 2 kitties, and we had one that passed away last fall on the equinox, actually. And she likes to do yoga with me a lot more. This one only wants to jump. Like if I bend over and my butt's in the air, she likes to jump on my butt. And
Look at
out up there. Yeah. I totally forgot the question now.
What witchy things do you do with your pets? And you do yoga?
I do. And she is a snuggler. So she likes to She wants to snuggle with me when I go to bed at night. And she just sort of has her little rituals too around what we do during the day. You know, we watch cartoons, which are kitty cartoons that she gets to play with on television. And, you know, we have snacks. I take her out for walks in nature too, on a leash, you know, so we do. But then we just have some bonding time too, where it's just an energetic exchange of, we live together and, you know, we have a relationship with each other, and let's celebrate that. She will come and sit on my laptop when I'm trying to work and demand her attention. And that's usually when I turn on I call them cartoons. They're like cat videos on YouTube. They are a lifesaver.
Oh, yeah.
They're very magical.
I put those on myself.
Yeah, for me, it's more when I'm meditating, my cats just kind of gravitate towards me and want to cuddle and sit on me while I'm meditating. I think the big one, though, is my mind is always 90 miles an hour all over the place. So in the evenings, you know, they will actually come and stand on my keyboard and meow in my face like it is time to disconnect. It's time to go to bed. They expect it's time for us to go to bed and do our ritual. And it's literally just me going in there and just being present with them just for a few minutes and loving on each of them intentionally, and maybe doing a little Reiki with them right there, and just, you know, doing some healing on them, making sure they're okay. And that's just a constant reminder of just be present. You know, I can worry about everything else tomorrow, but right now I'm just going to love on them. And I have one cat that is quite a bit older. Caesar is 11. And so I'm very aware that he, you know, we're probably not going to have him around for very many more years. So I'm just reminding myself all the time, just make every moment with him more intentional and count. And so that's just a little reminder that I have with them in particular to be present.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I do Reiki with mine too, actually.
Okay, I do that too.
Yeah.
Mine's very, very similar to everyone else's. Whenever I meditate, my sassy, nosy feline and sits beside me on my, you know, little grassy area, or if I've put a blanket out that day, she'll sit on the blanket with me while I meditate. And then afterwards, you know, I'll do some Reiki on her and rub and love on her. And I also have two bunnies, Luna and Comet. And so every single day I go out and I harvest fresh greens for them. So I put a lot of mindfulness into that and kind of infuse that with good energy, good nutrition for them, that sort of thing. And then come inside and get it ready for them. And then as they're eating, I'll, you know, rub on them, do some Reiki on them, and love on them as well.
Amazing.
I just love all my animals. But and
That's
on a
good
more
witchy. That's good witchy practice.
right. I mean, on a more practical note, anytime that I'm having a bad day, it's all about my dogs and my cat. When my cat snuggles up to me, I really try to just energetically match, because he will snuggle up on my chest and just go to purr town. I joke that I'm his favorite piece of furniture. And especially with my dogs, they bring out such a childlike part of me that it really heals me to be in that mode, because our dogs don't deserve us, right? They deserve so much better. And they deserve that unconditional love, and they deserve that like childlike wonder at the fact that they exist and that they're in our lives. So I sing to my dogs, and I, you know, if they're not feeling so great, like I just pour everything I have into them, and I just make it intentional that I spend time with them, because, you know, like Lady Keitha said, like we don't have them forever, and they are such a light in our lives. And being in that headspace really helps me, and it helps remind myself that, like, hey, I need this too. This is a flavor of love that everybody needs, and that we so often forget about when we're wrapped up in the world. You know, I sing songs because I need to sing songs just as much as my dogs need to hear them. You know, maybe they don't need to hear them, but they seem happy about it either way. You know, and being in that energy of unconditional love and of, you know, that being with the attitude that my dogs don't have to do anything to earn love. They don't have to do anything to earn my affection. They don't have to do anything to earn their dinner. Literally, their job is just to exist. And I think we forget that that's just our job too. And
Wow.
I use that as an intentional reminder to myself when I go and I love on my dogs, like, this is how we're meant to live. So is it necessarily witchy? Like, maybe, maybe not, but it's definitely part of like my mental health practice for sure.
Yeah, that's beautiful. If anyone's listening, if you're watching and you've got some everyday witchy practices that you want to share, just post a comment. We'd love to see what y'all think as well. So what about cleaning your house? Like, we all hate cleaning, right? Some people love cleaning. But is there anything that you do that's witchy with cleaning your house?
So go ahead, Robert.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
With myself, which I usually try to do this at least once every 3-4 days, because we do come into my room with our shoes on. The dirt does get tracked in. So I sprinkle a little bit of salt on the floor as I'm sweeping to cleanse the area and the space. And then I have my own personal homemade room. I call it my positive happiness spray. And when I spray it into the room and walk around clockwise, I am projecting positivity and happiness and new good energy into the room as I am cleaning. So that's my little witchy cleaning thing that I do.
I love it. Anyone else?
So he actually took mine. So when I was little, I remember seeing my grandmother sprinkle salt on the floor before sleeping. And I always thought, oh my God, grandma's lost it. Like, she's gone. Like, there's no coming back from this. And now I do it. Like, I walk around my room and I sprinkle salt in all the corners. And then I have to, be very intentional to get all of that salt back up. And it's just a way of purifying my space. And I share to the well often. I make a room spray of my own that's infused with intentions. And each room has its own spray with its own intentions. So like my living room is very like protection, welcoming, friendly, calm. But like my bedroom is more relaxation and able to sleep, get rid of anxiety. And my kitchen is more, let this be a nourishing space. Let this be a protection space. So that's just one way that I like to include, my practices. That and like wiping down all of the doorways and windowsills with, an intentional wash as well.
Mm-hmm. I think just the act of cleaning is a spiritual practice, and decluttering your home is a spiritual practice.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I mean, when you get rid of stuff and when you clean up your space, it makes you feel emotionally better and it clears out space. It's almost like clearing out your outer space, and I think not outer space, but around you. I think Krystal and I talked about this when she was on my podcast, but clearing out that space around you actually makes space inside of you for spiritual work, for dealing with mental health issues, or just keeping your mental health at a way that is resilient. So I think even just the act of cleaning, decluttering.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Bella and I have in the background our altars and our shelves full of spiritual things.
Right. Well, hey, I ain't decluttering that right now.
Don't look. Don't look.
I ritually declutter. I don't actually clean anymore. The last few years we've done the nomad thing. So I have a cleaning lady every week, which is wonderful. It gives me time to be intentional with myself. So as she's cleaning, I will actually go outside and just be with myself and be in my own space. And so it took time for me to to actually incorporate that into part of my being as a CEO, and looking at my time, because I always used to feel like I had to be the one to clean, right? And that was part of something that had to be on my plate. And so for me, giving up cleaning had to be part of stepping into a new level of who I am, because I don't have time to clean and run a company. So I'm fortunate in that we have a cleaning lady, and when she comes, I am allowed to not clean. There are some things I do clean. You know, I clean the litter box and I clean the water bottle. You know, I clean up after the cat, and so I do that part. But you know, I used to have a lot of those practices, and now I'm finding the one thing that I do is declutter ritually, because even though we're nomads and we live without a lot, we don't carry a lot of stuff with us. You'd be amazed at how much crap we collect in, you know, at least 3 times a year, I've got to do a purge. And it's, I sort of think those are the cycles, you know, spring cleaning, fall makeover, New Year's purge. Those are sort of the 3 biggies that everybody hits. Right. But yeah, that is it's a part of my business. It's a part of my practice, and it's a part of my daily. That's about the only cleaning thing that I still do, is that part. And that part is so important, because clutter is so directly related to our mindset and our mental health. So yeah, that's an important one.
Oh, go ahead, Megan.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, for me, like, I get so focused when I'm cleaning. Like, I don't really feel like I do a whole lot other than clean. But I keep my eye on the prize, and whenever I'm done cleaning, that's whenever I do my smoke cleansing. I'll do wind chimes or bells. I'll do the wine glass and water trick for the sound. And then it's very much ritualistic for me that is my self-care time for the week, is I get to enjoy that clean space. And to me, it's like a reset. It's like, okay, well, the trash was from last week. Now we have this week. Like, this week is brand new. We got the incense going. We got the candles going. You know, the bed is soft and it's made, and I'm fresh and clean and everything. And it's very much just an intentional reset. And it's a dedication to myself, because it's all about, for me, doing labor for the future self. It's labor that present self doesn't like, but it's my dedication to future Megan, and it's my manifestation for future Megan, and it's my gift to future Megan. And then, but if I don't enjoy it, then I'm just cheating myself out of my own gift, right? So, I definitely, like, it's definitely a self-care practice, and even an intentions practice. I do a tarot a lot of times after I do my cleaning, because it feels so nice to sit and do an intuitive practice with a clean space. That for me, a lot of it is just after cleaning. I'm very much like a focused person. So like when I'm in the zone, like that's all I can see. But afterwards is when I take time to really take a break and take a step back and admire what I've done.
I relate to that so much.
Hi, Randy.
I missed cleaning when I didn't clean anymore.
No, I'm
because
on
it
the
was
live
very
stream right now.
cathartic for me.
It is.
Yeah, I liked
my
the
husband.
cleaning. It was a very self-care thing for me too. So when it was somebody else, it was hard for me to, like, it took some process for me to be like, oh, this is not mine anymore. This is somebody else's. And that's a new self-care. Letting someone else take care of me in that way was something very new and very different. It was not something I was ever taught. Like that was hard. It was hard giving it up and also receiving the gift of letting someone else care for me by taking care of my space. So that was, yeah. And I missed it sometimes for a long time. So
that is something I am willing to incorporate in my practice. If anyone is willing to volunteer at any point,
I don't know.
I
feel that insecurity. I feel that insecurity though, because as someone who has caretaken for another person, I used to date someone who was very much physically limited and endured a lot of pain. So I would have an emotional hang up letting someone else clean for me, because for me it's a demonstration of what my body is capable of, and it's a demonstration of my caretaking. So I identify with what you said. Like, it would, like, just the thought of letting someone else in my space that intimately, I don't think that we understand on a surface level how intimate mess is and how intimate our clutter is. And like, yeah, like I was sitting there thinking about it and I got a little cringy, like, no, you know what, I'll vacuum my own floor, thank you. Like,
it was very hard. It was very hard. It was right after I injured myself at work, and it took about a year, and I literally couldn't walk anymore. I couldn't scrub my own floors or my own bathtub. I couldn't bend over. I was in so much pain. You know, I could barely move from the bedroom to the couch to the toilet to I couldn't go anywhere. I was just in a wheelchair all the time. And so having someone come in to take care of me, to clean, to buy my groceries, that was very, very difficult for me. And it took a lot of surrender. It took a lot of courage, really. It took a lot of vulnerability, because it is a very intimate thing to let someone see you so intimately, just and to let, because you always want to clean your space before people come over. So to have someone come into your mess is a very vulnerable thing. So yeah, that was a big self-care thing for me when I had to go through that.
Yeah, I can see where even with myself, if someone's going to come over, I feel like I have to kill myself to clean everything up. And I've been trying to break myself of that habit, and just be like, oh, it's my, it's not clean, it's messy, I got stuff piled up. But hey, Lady Keitha, if you would have come over last night, that's what you would have got. And Megan, you too, that's what you would have got. Messy. But I am a perfectionist, and I have to break that somehow. And the way you break perfectionism is by doing stuff that's uncomfortable.
Right.
And
not only that, but how many times have you walked into a house and been like, wow, this person must be lazy because their laundry's out? Like, no one thinks that, right?
nobody
Like,
cares, right?
How silly that we carry that burden, because I do, right? Like, I'm very much a perfectionist. I'm very much I have an outer appearance and an inner appearance, right? But how silly, because we all let the laundry pile up. We all leave the dishes in the sink sometimes. Like, we all don't sweep every day. Like, and that realization, I think, helps a lot too.
So I think isolation has been kind of bad for me in that retrospect, because, I'm very much a host. I really like people to come to my home and spend time with me in my space. It's just a security thing for me. And, that Southern hospitality runs deep in my veins. And so I always had that image of, my house needs to be pristine and all of these things. But now that I'm fully vaccinated and I've actually gotten to visit some close friends recently, I go in and I'm just like, like, I see a lot of my patterns in their home as well. And it isn't that big of a deal, but we hold ourselves to such an unrealistic standard. And I think that if we would allow ourselves the same level of grace that we allow those that we love, like, we would all be unstoppable, So that's something I'm working on, is allowing myself the same grace as I give to others.
And before we switch gears, I want to say there is nothing more magical to me than clean sheets on the bed.
Oh, yeah.
With clean shaved legs and clean pajamas.
Yeah.
Or no pajamas and just clean skin, and you're just like, ah.
Yeah, that's absolutely magical.
You're totally speaking my language. I talked about this stuff in my business with my clients all day, every day. It's all about what's in your space and what touches your skin and how you live and how you interact. So
the little things. It's the little things.
It's all about, that's what reflects what you believe about what your worth and your obligation and your scarcity. And I talk about all of those things all the time. I was thinking we talked about some of that when I was on the podcast. You said something and I was like, didn't we talk about that when I was on the podcast? I feel like we talked about this just not that long ago.
Yeah. So I want to switch gears a little bit. We're talking about everyday witchy practices. And if you have a partner, then your relationship, your sexual relationship, that's all part of everyday practice as well. So what do you do witchy in your relationships? Whether it's just, your everyday relationship with a partner, or it's more intimate. Or do you?
Well, he's always been pretty clear. He's like, all women are witches. That's sort of his thing. Like, he said that to me before I even said anything. I was just like, how did you know? Like, what? Yeah, babe, we are. I don't hide it. It's not I don't make a big deal out of it. He doesn't make a big deal out of it. We don't do a lot of anything special, but
Yeah.
He just lets you be you.
He totally does. He's like this is like the first relationship I've ever had where I really feel like I can fully embrace who I am and not have to hide. I had an ex when I was in my 20s that didn't like me being psychic. He just didn't want. He just didn't want me to be psychic. He would
turn
be
that
like,
knob and turn it off.
Yeah, that's literally what he wanted, was for me to turn it off and just like, please don't talk about these things anymore. Please don't say this stuff, or please don't do this. Please don't be this anymore. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, I'll try. I tried, but eventually you just can't not be yourself. So, but everybody has kind of wanted me to be somebody else until now. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sometimes at the end of yoga, we have a little sex magic.
Sex magic is awesome.
I love that after yoga.
Yeah.
Not
awesome.
Not like we do a lot of. We don't really have anything witchy that we incorporate in. It's just part of. We talk a lot. We have a lot of very open communication. Very adult, I guess that's about as witty as it gets, is we have grown-up conversations instead of right. We got to talk like grown folks around here. Because I just can't. And take time apart when we get a little, like we have to act like grown-ups. That's about as witchy as we get. And I think that's pretty damn witchy in most relationships, if you want to tell the truth. Like.
So for me and my husband, we've been together almost 14 years, and it's only been the last 5 that I've been practicing. So obviously sex magic has become part of our lives. I'll be the weird one here and say that it is definitely something I thoroughly enjoy doing for obvious reasons. It is incredibly powerful for manifestation, and it's definitely something that he is on board with. So he's like, what can I do? What can I do to help? I'm here for it. I keep that intention spray in my bedroom that has very specific to the bedroom of adults intentions, such as passion and fertility of love, not just conceiving life, but also like fertility of love between us. I actually have a small altar that sits on my nightstand, and I'll do sigil magic or whatever intention. He always jokes about, don't ever let me find my name in a jar, but they're always sweet jars, and he just doesn't understand that. And then, of course, like I use charm bags a lot for things like helping him sleep, and stuff like that. So that's about as witchy as we get. But I'm on board for the sex magic. I think it's incredibly powerful, and it's a way that we can connect on a whole new level. That's different, which is amazing. So
I made a sweet jar, a honey jar. I have it over there, and it's absolutely amazing. And it's one of those everyday witchcraft things too, because I don't necessarily light it every day, but I could light it every day. And when I think about it and I light it, amazing things happen. And, he'll unload the dishwasher. And my love language is acts of service and words of encouragement. So that's the kind of things, he'll bring me home something just out of the blue. After I light it, it's really powerful magic. But I think it's so powerful, even though my husband really isn't into the witchy stuff. He's a lot more supportive than he used to be. He allowed me to make that with his permission. So we have both of our names in it, and the intention of just sweetening up and keeping our relationship very sweet. And I can't remember exactly what I put in there, but the honey jar is about sweetening up a relationship. And I think that's what makes it so powerful, is because I had his permission to make it for the both of us, even though he doesn't understand what goes into it. I think that was really an important thing to show that he was supportive, even though he didn't understand, and like, why are you putting syrup and honey in a jar? But go ahead and do it.
The intention of the jar, and that's what matters.
Exactly.
And by giving his own permission and consent for him to be involved in that, that's almost like him putting his intention into it as well. Even if he doesn't understand that that's what he's doing, he's still being supportive and wonderful in that way. And that's just, having a supportive spouse or partner is an incredible gift. It's just, it allows you to reach a whole new level in your own practice. And I think it's so important.
Yeah, definitely. And he's even come to me a few times and wanted me to do healing. And that's just, if you know my story, and I do have a couple episodes up about my story, but if you know my story, you know how miraculous that is, that he would be involved in even asking me for things like that. So we've grown a lot over the 25 years we've been married. So it's really gotten to a point where I feel like Krystal, I feel like I can be myself. I can be my witchy self, whatever that looks like. Whether it looks like curling up and watching The Bachelorette, which I was doing today for a little while, or, going out and gardening and putting my intention down and doing crazy stuff and dressing up and doing rituals out, under the oak. Anything from the little things that don't really look witchy, but I know they are, to overtly witchy stuff that we do. Just getting in the pool is a healing and witchy practice for me in the summer. It's my healing place. Even though I'm a fire sign, I love water. Water's very healing for me.
And just because it was a thought that I had for anybody watching, if you don't have a partner, solo sex magic is still a thing.
Absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Make it happen, Captain. All right.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a willing partner to participate in sex magic. You can absolutely do that on your own.
But if you have a partner that doesn't really want to be involved,
right?
Go for it.
100%.
That is the epitome of raising energy. You can do so many things with that.
Very powerful manifestation.
Yep. One other thing, and I don't think that I've mentioned this already, one other thing that I do that is just kind of an everyday thing is blessing my car and saying intentions and really casting a spell on my car before I drive off my property. That the road would be open, that I would get to where I need to go, protection, things like that. Do y'all do anything involving transportation or with your cars?
Yep. A lot of my friends are currently riding around with little teeny tiny spell jars in their vehicles. I have a friend that was in a really bad car accident a few years ago. She was T-boned in Lexington, and she was in the hospital. It was actually pretty traumatic for her. So I actually wood burned a sigil into a piece of wood and gave it to her. And I was like, just put this somewhere in your car. It'll help ground you, make you feel safe and protected. And it helped her conquer that fear that she had of being back in the vehicle and specifically behind the driver's wheel. So a lot of my friends that aren't very witchy, but they tolerate me, I'm just like, just put it in your car. Just you don't have to know. Just put it in it's fine. Just hide it in the glove box. It's fine. So yeah, I love doing stuff like that for people that I care about.
What about you, Megan?
In the car, a lot of times it's just about grounding. I do a lot of I don't want to call it meditation because I'm driving, but I will definitely get my mind straight is kind of what I think about it. Okay, we've left that place. We're going to a new place. Everything is fine. You're okay. Everything's okay. I don't know. I just have anxiety. So a lot of times when I'm driving, I live out in the middle of nowhere. So I always have to drive a long distance. So I always make sure to take a few minutes to be okay, let's get back to center. Let's practice our mindfulness. Let's actually notice the world around us instead of just zooming through. And I make a very cognizant effort to deflect other people's negativity while I'm driving, because of the road rage and because of how testy everyone is. And whenever something like that happens, it's all about taking a step back, and it's all about being like, "Whoo, I'm glad I'm not that person. Like, I'm cool. I'm over here in my car. Like, everything's fine. The worst I'm going to do is, like, say a cuss word. And then I move on. And it's all just, and when I see other people get frustrated and get so mad, I kind of just go, oh, thank goodness that's not who I am right now. And it's all about that flavor of mindfulness, too.
Okay. It can be magical, too.
It can be, but it can amp me up a lot too. Right. I have to dip out, guys. It was wonderful being here.
Thank you. Krystal, what about you? Anything you want to add about that?
I don't get it in the car all that often anymore since I work at home. But I have actually made it a practice of blessing my car for about 20 years, actually. I do. I make it a conscious thought every morning when Mark leaves for work, that the car will keep him safe on his way to and from work. And every time we move, right, and we take a road trip from here to the next place, I always make sure and do something to keep us safe and protected. Obviously, keep the car healthy running, and to keep us invisible from the police, because we don't need to get any speeding tickets. Like, I'm pretty practical about it. Like, no speeding tickets, no accidents, and let's just get us from here to there safely. Like, let's be real.
That is super practical. Yeah, I love it.
One out of them all, really. So
I think a lot of the spiritual practices around vehicles that I've been seeing online lately are just so frustrating. Like the gluing crystals to your steering wheel where the airbag deploys. No joke. Yeah, it was in the center. I actually shared something on the well about it. Like, please don't do this. This is incredibly dangerous. And that's not even the worst. The worst one that I have seen is like on a lot of dashboards on the passenger side, there's like a little divot where you can set keys and pins and whatever up there. People are actually, no joke, putting cacti and other plants and stuff inside of their vehicles. And I'm like, okay, look, I love the aesthetic as much as the next person. You can ask everybody. I love it. And I like the idea, the intention behind it of including a spiritual practice in something that you do every day, like drive your vehicle. But like, can we use common sense, please? Like,
that's a little too cottage
core. Do not take an airbag full of crystals to the face, like, or a cactus. That's not going to be good for your spiritual growth. Like,
no.
What are these?
Not to mention the temperature in the car that's going to hit those plants. Like, way to torture them to death. Like, let's burn them to death. Like, we got a magnifying glass on ants when we were 7 years old.
That's why they had cacti.
I have seen that with the plant thing, and not all of them were cacti. Some of them were actual, like,
some were like
plants, like not even succulents, but like plants that need water, a lot of water. And I was like, wait a minute, I have not seen the crystals thing. That's ludicrous.
They had them glued to the center of the steering wheel, right over the airbag, in the shape of an ankh with a protective circle around it. And so I understand. I understand the concept. I mean, we talked about it earlier of including spiritual practices in everyday things. However, you can do that in a common sense kind of way.
Stickers, paint.
Exactly. Don't put it on your steering wheel. Put it on your visor, or, hang a charm bag somewhere in your car. Like, there are just too many good options for you to be putting yourself and others in danger in your car.
Right.
So we've got some great tips on how to witch every day and how not to witch.
How to not witch. That needs to be a whole nother podcast.
That's next month.
There you go.
How to not witch. Yeah, I like it.
There you go. I like it.
Well, I really appreciate y'all being here and all the great advice. I hope that the listeners have found something from someone that they can really pull their spiritual practice into their everyday life, because I feel like it's super important. I think it's so simple. Even like we were talking about, as you're stirring your coffee in the morning, putting that intention into it. You don't have to be one of those people. Now, if you want to be one of those people, that's totally fine. You walk your own path, but you don't have to be one of those people that only walk your path on a full moon or walk your path on a high holiday or a low holiday. You can walk your path every single day. And that's what this whole month and this live stream was all about, is just ways, ideas, things for you to think about of just adding your witchy life to every single thing that you do. So thank you all for being here. I will put up the podcast one more time. Y'all have any final words as we're getting out of here?
I don't. I'm grateful. I am grateful for all of you and having been with me here tonight. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
I put all of you in my water.
And Krystal, why don't you remind us of your website?
Just krystalholm.com.
All right. And Lady Keitha, where can we find you?
The Sacred Well on Facebook or Midlands Pagan Collective.
All right. And Megan was the Sunlit Veil.
Sunlit Veil.
And Emrys is the
Hallowed Haven.
Hallowed Haven.
Based in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. And he just started that, so it would be a great place to support.
Go
So
support
y'all,
him.
thank you so much. Thank you for all the listeners, and y'all be blessed.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.